Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of the All Things Then podcast. My name is Akintunde as your host, and I have with me Elizabeth Idowu. Hi Elizabeth.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Do I call you Liz?
No, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth is fine. Okay, that's perfect. And today we are having, something very important to discuss. It's actually titled Understanding Who You Were Created to Be. Understanding who you were created to be. And the interesting thing is that a lot of us definitely have loads of questions on our minds. We have a lot of things that we're really looking forward to getting answers on, especially relating to identity. As a matter of fact, in our world today, I believe that most of the problems that we are facing actually stem from identity issues, right? Identity crisis and all of that. And I believe the earlier we get to sort them out as younger people, the better it is for us, because if we don't actually discuss these topics, then the tendency is that life is going to ask of us, answers to these questions, and we'll probably just be looking and not have answers to them. Do you want to say anything about that? Do you think that's the case as well, like I said?
Yeah, I feel like as young people, of course, it's natural for us to try and find who we are, our identity, the group of people we fit in with. And I feel like now in this generation, it's who you can become could be anybody. Literally anybody. Whoever you create in your head, you are. And it's kind of this generation, we're so accepting of that, or too accepting of it, where it comes to no, we threw away all the foundation and groundwork that we got from the past generations.
Yeah.
And now it's as we grow up now, it's we're going into the world. It's going to be different for us, more harder for us, because we didn't really have that foundation and framework of who we are and just finding who we are. So yeah.
Do you think we're facing more problems in the world today than our parents and the elderly generation faced, or the older generation? Do you think we're facing more problems, or is it sort of a recycling of the same problem but in a different form?
Yeah, I would say recycling the same problems but in a different form, because I feel in the past generations they didn't really talk about certain problems and things, but in this generation we're very expressive, very open about certain things. So it's the same problems, but it's just being seen in a different light, because we're more expressive. For example, anxiety and depression. Back then, nobody would talk about it. It was a taboo topic to talk about. But now it's so open, and from it, I would say we've kind of talking about it is better, and it's helping us. But also, I feel there's a stage where we are a bit too expressive and just too expressive, and we're just allowing things, accepting things to come.
So it's almost we before now we had a more reserved and conservative society, and now we're very liberal, but liberal with no boundaries. So it's almost there are no filters to what we can do. And it's kind of crazy. It's very, very, very scary. Obviously, when we talk about understanding who, we are created to be, it raises the question of, first of all, the creation of the universe, the creation of the world, and the creation of human beings itself. And, from my research, and even from previous understanding that I have, I kind of see it as, first of all, there's been a lot of theories regarding human, how the world was created. One of the theory I saw was the Big Bang theory, which I'm not exactly sure I really fully understand it, but from if I would just put it in a simple sentence, it's almost when you kind of put something that like you kind of want to confine something, right? Say like I'm trying to confine like gas. Do you get what I mean? If you don't like properly close it up, it can escape and stuff like that. So I felt like when I like my understanding of Big Bang is like there's a world where we have all the particles and all the tiny metals and everything like that together in, and then all of a sudden it just went bang, and then and then the world was created. I don't know, that sounds funny to me though.
Because I remember like learning it in primary school and like the words like matter and mass come together and then happened, and just thinking, wow, that's cool. That's really cool. But I get what you mean. Like, how can things just go together and then happen?
Do you think that's how the world was formed?
Me personally, no. Like, I even had a friend, she was like, if you don't believe in the Big Bang Theory, I don't know what else you can. But no, me, like, thinking about it back then, I probably would have, because I didn't know what these things were and then happening. But now, like, as I've grown older, like, I believe God is the one that made the earth and everything in it, and he formed everything perfectly how he did. And then, like, think about it, it's like, I feel like it's just the Big Bang Theory is humans' ways of trying to understand what we just
what was created.
Yeah, what we did not know, like how. Like
it's really shocking, because again, like if something happens like bang, I mean it shouldn't work the way the world is working. Like the sun rises and sets, the moon comes up at night, and it's not even so in other places, like other, would I call them planets,
galaxies,
like it doesn't work that way, right? I think even the earth is like hotter in certain places. And then, like Ireland, for example, it's a colder. Like even summer is still, has some sprinkling of cold in it. Whereas if you look at countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, and they are very hot, like very hot. People literally could walk naked if they can have their way. Like it's that hot. Like when I recently traveled to Nigeria, like I was so uncomfortable because of how hot everything is. Like the fan was on, everything was on, but like it was so terrible. So how do you then say that like the world works based on the creation of? I don't know. Like it doesn't seem credible to me, and it doesn't make too much sense in my head. Do you get what I mean? That's one. That's the Big Bang theory. I've also seen another theory they call, I think it's called like the steady state theory, which is that the universe has it has no beginning and it has no end, and
okay,
so like the world is just on an autopilot and everything is just, it keeps going. People keep dying, people being still being here, and the world will never end. And what's your thoughts about that?
I don't think that's like, I get what they mean. Like, we are born, we die. Like it's kind of all in a cycle, but I don't get it.
Surely that can't be.
Yeah, like there needs to be more to that.
Yeah.
Like if we were born and then we just die, like that means life would just be like on autopilot and stuff. But I feel like no, there's more to just that cycle. Like how was that cycle created? Yeah. Like who began the cycle?
That's a good question. That's a good question. That leads to another theory where they said that like there has to be a first cause. So they're trying to get what was the first cause that started anything. For example, if we have this thing, being set up, there has to be someone who set it up. The person who set up what was set up, there has to be someone who created or someone who established that person that set this thing up. Like, so it's like trying to find the thing that is behind the next thing and behind the next thing. So it's almost like an infinite discovery. And, I just feel like we are kind of giving ourselves too much problems instead of trying to accept
Yeah.
the simplest truth.
Because I feel like as human beings, we question everything. Like when we grow up, even like my age, we're always told question everything, which can be a good thing, but also can lead you into deep holes at the same time. So I feel like even this theory, we're just trying to question and find the answer, where sometimes we can't find like a definitive scientific answer. Like it's way beyond science can even explain. So
I totally agree. And you said in your generation, like they ask you to question everything. My generation is different. We are told not to ask questions. Like once things happen, well, that's it. Like for example, if you want to ask, like, but why do we, for example, you'll be like, why do we believe in God? People will be like, it's God. You don't question those things. Like, it's God. You don't want to be struck or stuff like that. So it's like we never really had the opportunity to learn and to, would I say, ascertain answers, the right answers to all the curiosities that we had. And as a result of that, a lot of us still have like questions regarding life, because now you're like, but this is happening, I don't even know why this is happening to me and stuff like that. So I think it's really interesting that we've been able to like explore some of these theories. And I know some other person, they might be like, oh, you guys are not explaining it well, I have a better answer. But we just want to see like our own perspectives of what we believe in. And personally, I believe that there's a God that created everything. And, the Bible is my mantra, in understanding, like, how everything works, including the creation of human beings. And why do I believe so much in the Bible? Or why do I believe so much in God? It's because, first of all, God himself is unchanging. You see, I realize that our world is so fickle and everything changes. It's like trends, So today, things may not be the same, the fashion may not be the same, and then it changes. The music may not be the same, it changes. People's belief system may not be the same, it changes. People's orientation, it changes. And so, like, I just feel like if you're building your life based on those things, like, it just it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Like, how can you make a life-altering decision based on something that, like, can just change tomorrow? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I feel like as you grow older, or like you're questioning, like you go through the stages of you're trying to find things through those fickle things, but then you're like, no, this isn't working. Like as you grow older in life and you try and find like that concrete foundation.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people in like their later lives, they go to God, because God is concrete. God is that foundation.
It's sure.
Yeah. Like God is truth, and they're like, people are just seeking truth in things, but they look at the fickle things, they look at their feelings, they look at things that are just moving, and like they are trying to follow groups of people who they don't even know who they are, and they're trying to find who they are in those people, or they're trying to find like concrete answers in certain like ideologies or things, but like at the end of the day, it's all fickle, it's all moving, it's all changing, and then like God is that only one foundation.
I agree. For me, it's a good point you raised there about like how like people are trying to ascertain the truth, the core of their existence from things that are constantly changing and from people. And I really like how late Dr. Miles Monroe, because I really like listening to him, because his teachings they convey truths to me. Do you understand? So I remember one of his analogies, it was like, when a product is made, okay, the product does not ask another product, how should I be used or how should I function? You need to ask the person who created it. If, for example, like this is the Rodecaster Pro 2, we did not make it, okay? So, but Rode as a company, I believe maybe that's the name of the organization that made this. They made this, gadget for podcasting and for other musical, purposes. And then the question is, if this was made and we want to use it and understand it, surely we cannot be asking this gadget, hey, do you know how you're used? Like, I kind of want to figure this thing out, but like, can you tell me? Like, it's definitely not going to tell us, because like it probably doesn't know how it's being used. We are the ones who can tell that, like, oh, this is how it's used. And for us to also know how it's meant to be used, we need to find out the mind of the manufacturer, the person that produced it. And same thing with the laptop, same thing with like our mobile phones. So it would be so weird. I don't know why we human beings now feel like it's the right thing for us to create communities and then ask, oh, so what do you think about what do you think about how I created how I was created into the world? We're asking other scientists, and they're like, surely the Big Bang makes sense. You know, I kind of feel like, I mean, with the matter and the and you're like, really, really nice. That sounds very credible. And then we believe it and we start running with that. And you know, it just doesn't. And the funniest thing about it is, from my research, it's like an evolving theory. So they keep discovering and they are updating, you know, the theory. So like, how do you base your life based on something that it's not permanent, it's not stable? And this is why, like, I really love, you know, the Bible. Obviously, like, unlike other books that have like first edition, second edition, third edition, revised version and stuff like that, the Bible is still the same. Like every single year, it's been like that since time immemorial. The same content, the same thing, every time and time again. So it's just so weird how we as younger generations just feel like we know too much, or we are wiser than you know, the person who actually created us, you know. But what's your view about God? When you think about how you were created, how do you think you were created, by the way?
It's a deep question. Well, throughout the years, like, I haven't really questioned it. Like when I was younger, like, you believe, oh, your mom and your dad, you know, they conceived you, and all, that's how you're created. But as I grew older, like, I would think of like purpose and like, why was I actually created? Why am I on this earth? What do I do? Like, I'm in school. What happens after school? Like, what happens then? And like, even coming into faith, like, grew up in a Christian household, and I always believe in God, but I didn't know why I believed in God. So like, coming to like, why was I created? Like, why was I put on this earth? I would always look to God, but like, in myself, I know, like, okay, what am I actually looking for? So like, and then like, I actually believed like, you have to make your faith your own faith, and not like, it wasn't my parents' faith, it was actually my own faith. And coming to faith, like, supernatural things will be happening to me, and I'll be like, okay, I think God is truly, truly real. And that's really like how I found, like, okay, I believe that God is real. I've seen him do supernatural things in my life. Like, an example is during my mock exams for my junior cert, everybody was stressed. Why was I the only one who had so much peace?
Wow.
So much peace. I was just like at peace. I'll be like, and it wasn't even like I was lazy and stuff. It was just like I was at peace. And even when I tried to stress, peace would just come. And I was like, okay, this is not normal. This is not normal. Like, I should be stressed. And I'm an academic seeker. Like, academic validation is my thing. So like, that whole period, and then I finished my mocks, and I was like, I didn't stress one bit that whole period. And I was like, okay, God is real. Like, there is a God, and like, I cannot even deny that. So then, like, just finding my purpose and who I am, and like what I was created for and stuff, like, I would always go to God. And now knowing that God is real and finding my own faith and stuff, like, I could just go to God, go to the Bible, and see who I am, see why I was created, my purpose, and like, just believe in God because I've seen the supernatural. And I used to believe in like the Big Bang theory, scientific things, but then like, after those supernatural things happen, I've started to question that and be like, okay,
share the Big Bang.
Yeah, I was like, God is real.
Yeah,
I believe God is real, so I believe the Bible is real. So I believe that.
So the
God
Big Bang
it.
Can't be real.
Yeah, like it can't be. It's a theory. Like even in the name, Big Bang
it's
theory.
Just theory.
So it's a
Oh
theory.
my God, that's huge, man.
So
That's good.
so I was just like, no, that can't be.
That
real.
can be how I was created. I can definitely build my life on that.
Yeah,
That's really, really cool. And I mean, I love how, like, first of all, you've made your faith your own, because like a lot of like younger people, like we kind of want to follow the bandwagon, our friends and the things that are cool. Because like I've also noticed that like in our generation, like maybe because people don't, it feels like identifying with God is like kind of old school.
yeah.
Or if it like people see people will say, oh well, I believe in God, as like people are judgmental and people will like they're not just cool people. So everybody's just like, well, I don't want to talk about God. Like I don't want to put him on my, definitely not on my bio that I'm a child of God and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
So
even like, can I say something about that? When I was in, I think secondary school, like just turning to God, like becoming a new Christian, born again. Like I was terrified of telling people, like terrified. Like I remember I'll be on my bed and be like, God, how am I gonna walk as a child of God in this school? Because like a lot of people in my school, like anytime we come to a religious discussion, they're like, Christians, they speak down on Christianity, even like mock it and stuff. So I was like, being a new Christian, I was like, okay, I'm terrified.
You don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, but one thing I've learned, and I'm still learning, is that we just need to be strong. We need to be firm in our faith, because I think it says in Romans 6 or something, is like, do not be ashamed of your faith, because it brings freedom. It brings people to
I'm not ashamed of the gospel.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I butchered it. Yeah.
No. You use the easy English version.
Yeah. So it's like whenever a conversation like that comes up, they know I'm a Christian. They know I go to church, because like it's not that you have to be like, oh, believe in God, and like force it, but it's more of your lifestyle, how you walk. Like I wouldn't curse. I don't curse at all. All my friends curse. I know. I wouldn't, like, they say steal something or something, I'll be like, no, guys,
but that's
you can't do that.
That's a cultural thing.
Yeah, like it's peer pressure. And I've just learned that you have to say no to peer pressure. You need to stand against it, because you're not going to be seen as cool if you don't do it. But you just need to stand in your faith, because God is, you have God forever, but like friends, they can be fleeting. They can.
It's based on their mood. You know? Like tomorrow they may not feel that way.
So it's like stand firm in your faith, because God is it. I
totally agree. I mean, that's beautiful. You know, it reminds me of my experience as well when I was in Trinity. I remember that like I was just meeting like people from different countries, from different cultures and stuff like that, you know. A lot of my friends from Germany, you know, Spain, different countries, and they're like, oh my God, like this guy is like, I surely don't think like they believe in God and stuff like that. So, you know, and you know, the kind of conversations that usually comes up, right? They're kind of things that like the Bible is against it. For example, like casual sex. For example, like, you know, smoking, drinking, and all of those kind of lifestyle habits and stuff like that. And on the one hand, you want to form a cycle with, like, you want to be like kind of buddies with these guys because you're building your network and stuff like that. But on the other hand, you're like, surely, like, I just don't fit in. Do you get what I mean? Like, this is not. Do you understand what I mean? So, like, it's just. It's very tough trying to balance both. But what I eventually, and I'm really grateful that I eventually took that decision, was I never joined them. Like I didn't try to compromise my faith or compromise who I was just so that I can become like I can become like a part of them. Do you get what I mean? And they respected me for that. Initially, I thought that like they're gonna ostracize me and be like, oh yeah, Akintunde is so bougie, like that guys just talks about God all the time. I don't even like to talk with him. You know, any small thing will just be like, do you know that God really loves you? I don't want to hear you. You know, so but you know, someone like they respect like my faith and all of that. And guess what? A lot of them, whenever they run into troubles or they need help with anything that kind of is beyond the physical, or they don't know how to handle it, then they reach out and they're like, hey, please, could you please pray for me? I know you serve God. Do you get what I mean?
Because I think our minds, like, automatically we think of the worst.
Yeah.
Especially like with other people, because we can't control what they feel. So we think of the worst, but actually they're like so accepting. They're like, okay, like, you believe what you believe, and I respect that. And I feel like you standing firm as that Christian, it's very like powerful in a way, because they can come to you at any time and they know you are the one who believes in God, and that, like, even thinking about it, they, in a way, they kind of believe in God in a way.
Yeah, because they believe you believe.
Because they believe you believe in God, and they believe that God is powerful,
and they believe God
enough.
exists.
Yeah, so
it's a double double win there. And you know, it's so interesting that you brought up the issue of peer pressure and all of those things like that. And I love it. I love it when younger people are very clear on their identity. You know, one of the very iconic quotes I found is that if you don't define who you are, or if you don't find out or discover who you are, other people will define it for you.
Yeah.
You know, people's opinions are so powerful. And in the world today where the media is just so powerful, like there's so much access, you know, by everybody to, you can write your own blog, you can do your own podcast, just the same way we are, you know, sharing our own opinions as well. And other people might not find it, you know, very friendly and stuff like that. But everybody has their own voice now. And with so many voices, it brings a lot of confusion if you don't already have like a standing position where this is what I believe and I'm standing by it. So it's just, I would say it's more challenging now if you're not really clear on who you are, you know. And I'm really grateful that, you know, like for us, we have that ability to discover ourselves. Now, obviously, like there's a lot of discussions regarding like purpose and all of those things like that, and it's a very broad topic, you know. But how would you say you have discovered your purpose, or what's your view about it?
I went to a retreat, and the topic was purpose and finding our purpose, and my understanding of it is like we have a main purpose, but I also think we have like little small purposes. Like, it might be my purpose to go up to somebody and tell them Jesus loves them, and that person like goes back to their relationship with the Lord, or starts a relationship with the Lord. It was my purpose, and God sent me to do that one thing. Yeah. Or my purpose to clean the house because somebody is coming, but I didn't know somebody was coming, so I cleaned the house, or something like that. But I also believe that we have like a main purpose, and I feel like a lot of us don't know what it is. Like, I don't even know if I know what my purpose is, to be honest. But I know for me, it's like just following God and what He says I should be doing. Like, that's leading me to where He is going to be like showing me my purpose and finding my purpose. But I feel like in today's world, like, purpose has been something that has been discarded or like put to the side, because like I know people who just don't believe we have purposes, and our purpose is just to live.
Just live, get a
just
job,
live,
make money, have fun.
But I feel like we've been trained to think like that, where we finish school, go to college, get a job.
I'm sorry if I could just like interrupt you right there. Like, where you said we've been trained to think like that, you know, education and what's it called now? Jobs, employment. Somehow I feel like it has robbed us of the opportunity to actually discover, you know, the gifts that we have been given, Because every man has a gift that has been placed inside of them. But the fact that like a system has been created by the government, who perhaps don't even know what they're doing, most of the time. But it's true. They don't know what they can roll out a policy today and tomorrow they just change the policy. They can come up with an affirmative action and say, oh, well, people who are not of this standard, let's support them. And tomorrow someone else comes in and they're like, no, we shouldn't support them. Like they should work their way up. Do you get what I mean? So now having those systems in place that they've kind of shaped how we think, how we live, and how we grow, it's just, it's immense. It's immense the kind of impact those things have had upon us. And you were talking about like purpose there being something that it's a continuous discovery. And I think what I really like about like your viewpoints is that from my understanding of it over time, I mean, purpose was a very big question for me because I don't want to I know I wasn't just created to live on this earth and to die. Like that would be so weird. Like why? Like I mean, it just feels like a meaningless life. And I think this is also what everybody's trying to discover. Why we have a lot of opinions and a lot of things that people are just trying to do just so that they can reach that purpose. A lot of people are doing different things just so that only fans. Like that's it's just it's a need to fill a void of trying to discover. Do you get what I mean? And it's so sad because I believe we are running to the wrong things to find out our purpose. You see, the purpose of a thing does not exist outside of the creator of that thing. Do you get what I mean? Like you cannot be independent of the person who created you. And God created us. He did not. So if you look at fishes, and I think it was also Miles Monroe that cited this example, right? He said fishes cannot function outside of water. Can they?
No.
Birds, they cannot function outside of the air. If there's no air, there's no way they can fly. Do you get what I mean? Plants cannot function where there's no roots or there's no seed. Why can human beings function where there's no God? Do you get what I mean? Like, so like we trying to live out, daily lives without God, like trying to understand and ask, but God, like, what exactly have you created me for? Like, it's just so weird that, and we are living life that way. And I just feel like we're just living.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. Because I feel like even in my daily life, like if I haven't started my day with God, I feel like my day has already been disarrayed. Yeah. Like it has been like I'm more angry. Like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm more sluggish. I'm more lazy and stuff. And like when I do start my day with God, it's like I have a purpose for that day. Like God in that morning has told me what I need to get done or given me like an objective for that day to do. So like in my mind, as I walk through that day, I'm thinking of that and thinking, have I walked in that today?
That alignment,
yeah. So I get that, like how if we don't have, like how can we have purpose? How can we live without the Creator? Yeah. And how can we like, I don't know, like I see how people are just walking aimlessly in life, and even when I don't have God in my mornings, I see I'm walking aimlessly as well, with no vision or with no like.
No clarity.
No clarity.
It's so sad because like, do you know like a lot of people also like try to check YouTube for that purpose? Yeah. It's very crazy in our generation. Like imagine reaching out to ChatGPT or Google and like, how can I find my purpose? And the answers there, like they'll just tell you, just search within, all of those things. Like you will be so surprised, But like the first thing is, which was what we established in the first place, which is that like having a relationship with God, knowing for yourself that like, first of all, there's someone who created this world, and that is God. And that same person created you, right? Even though you were born by your parents, and that's another whole discussion, But like having that background and understanding, it really helps us now establish that, okay, now I need to understand why I was actually created. And I can't know that if I don't actually ask the person. Because even our parents, most of them are confused. Like if I ask your dad who is behind the camera, that like did he know your purpose? Like he probably wouldn't know. Like he'll probably just give you like advice and give you guidance. And when you get to a point where you're confused, you just be like calling you like, I get you're confused, but like, it will be fine. And that's the truth, because they don't know themselves. Like they are also trying to discover what God has, for them. And I think the beautiful thing about why the Bible is just so important, is that not only do you get to, learn about what God has in stock for you. Like one of the things I struggled with, like in my teenagers, was like self-esteem issues, right? I wasn't very confident in my looks. And that was because I had aunties who constantly always told me that like out of all my mom's children, I was the only ugly one. And that was very huge. Now, I mean, today, like nobody would say that. Like, I mean, a few years down the line, when I started, growing better and stuff like that, and more intentional about my dressing and all of that, they were looking at me, they were like, oh, wow, you're looking good, stuff like that. But you can imagine the impact that statement made upon my life. It was really huge. Like, I'll probably say I didn't recover until like maybe 6-7 years after, So for those period of 6-7 years, I didn't believe. Like if someone say, oh, Akintunde, you look great, I would be like, please don't whine me. Because I never really thought that I was handsome, or I never really thought that I had like substance that anybody would want to look forward to. But it was until when I actually now found out from like what the creator had to say, that was when I discovered that, oh, people actually have opinions of me. But then if I sit down with their opinions, then I become their opinions. But if I sit down with what has been written of me, then they would look at me from the angle in which I'm seeing myself, rather than from the angle in which they see me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I get that. Like I think everyone's gone through that like phase, or gone through something where someone has put them down or said something negative about them, and they're like, they believed it until they heard what their actual creator said. Like for me, like I was a chubby kid, like very chubby. So yeah, like a lot of people would say, oh, like you should lose weight and stuff. Like I was a child, like I didn't know what that meant. So yeah, and then I just walked in that, like putting myself down because of my weight. Yeah. And then when I became a true Christian and like born again, I began to see like I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Like my weight does not define who I am. Like I am God's child. Yeah. Like that is higher than what anybody says.
Can't say,
So yeah.
It's really huge. And I mean these are relatable experiences, and it's really good that we're talking about it. And obviously if we keep talking, like there's so much we can unpack. But are you gonna be around next week?
I think I will be.
Okay, yes. So I'll probably say we do a part 2 of it. Okay, so that would be lovely, just to keep the discussion going. We'll probably be discussing things around our gifts and like unraveling them and discovering them, and how we can serve the world with it. So, but definitely this has been an interesting conversation with you, Elizabeth. And I'm just really grateful that you were here to discuss with me.
Thank you for having me.
I want to say a big thank you to everyone who is watching this video. You see the video we posted last week, the one regarding like how to create a stellar CV. We haven't gotten a lot of views, and that's not nice. So please go and watch that video, like it, comment, and just support the podcast. It means a great deal, and there's a whole lot of good content. It's not like it's a useless content. It's actually relevant content that will really help every one of us. So please, go check it out, and definitely follow us on Instagram, and look us up on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music. We are literally everywhere, and just to serve you and to be sure that we're bringing everything down to you. We are like the McDonald's of podcasts. Okay. But just give us a like, follow us, and leave us a review. Definitely it's gonna be interesting. I want to say a very big thank you, to everyone who have listened to today's episode. A big thank you to the Lost Community Council for constantly making available these devices for communication and for podcasting. We do not take that lightly at all. I also want to thank Mr. Sheena, Steven, who edits and mixes. The last episode was a bomb. Like it was a nice editing. So I definitely look forward to this one really being like a very nice one as well. And I wouldn't leave this show without thanking my uncle, who is behind the camera today.
You took my job.
We've had a lot of challenges today regarding recording, and him just stepping in and showing that support and fatherly figure, really means a lot. So I want to say a big thank you, sir. And otherwise, this is everything today. My name is Akintunde, and I'm signing off. Take care. Bye bye, everyone. Bye.